everyone, and welcome to the Pixel Show. I'm your host, Robert Evans, and today's episode, we are going to do what Sony camera should I get? And I'm a professional photographer, but the camera that we're going to talk about today is actually a Sony Point Shoot that's absolutely been blowing my mind. So what camera should I get today? We are going to talk about the RX100 VII. Now, I've owned several iterations of this camera. I think the last one I had was the 5, and I was happy with that. And then everyone kept talking about the 7, and so I was like, all right. So I did upgrade. But the best thing about this camera and the previous ones, but it fits in your pocket. But one of the things that I love most about this camera is just how fast it is, and we're going to talk about that. But before we do, if this is your first experience watching the Pixel Show, I'd love you to go back and check out some of our previous episodes. We've done episodes on the 24mm 1.4. There's a 3-part senior shoot with the 135 1.8. I took a trip to Mackinac Island this last summer in 2019. If you really want to see what we're about, go to the bio show. I shoot the 400 2.8 and do all sorts of other episodes, The Power of Simple, where we talk about composition. Let me just show you some quick specs about this camera. Now, I'm not going to get into everything that it does, but specifically how I shot it for sports, and I'm going to show you some sports images today from a Sharks game that I went to when I was out in California working. But first of all, the lens range of this is 24 to 70, at 2.8 to 4.5. So as you zoom it in, your aperture does close down when you're at 200. But it's like having 2 lenses in your pocket. You have a 24 to 70, and then you have a 70 to 200. And the optical quality, it's a Zeiss lens. It's absolutely beautiful. And the other thing, and that's what we're gonna show you here in this episode, is how fast this camera shoots. It shoots 20 frames a second, even in RAW. It's unbelievable. Now, my A9s do the same thing. I shot the original A9 and now I have the A9 II. But basically what Sony did is take a lot of the A9 technology and pack it into this little camera. At 20 frames a second, especially if you shoot action or sports, you're gonna get every single little detail. The other way that it does that, again, it kind of using it's a little smaller of a sensor, but it has 2 different focusing points. We have phase detection. You have 357 phase detection points, as well as 425 contrast detection autofocus coverage. So this camera doesn't miss a thing. So it basically same technology that they're using in the A9, and they've packed it into this little camera. It's using Bion's sensor. I don't know if I ever say that right, but it's a 1-inch sensor and multi-level to like help speed up to allow this camera to actually shoot and record 20 frames a second. Now, on a side note, if you are shooting 20 frames a second, you do need a fast UHF Series 2 card. And if you're not sure what that one is, it's the one with the 2 sets of teeth, but you just want to make sure. So I want to make sure that you don't use a older card in this camera and then be frustrated with it. So a little tip. And then it does video. We're not going to talk about video today. If you, after I show you the very last image that I'm going to show you, we're going to run a video that Sony produced that shows you everything the camera does. So if you're intrigued and you want to see like, oh, what can this camera do? Watch the video. It kind of covers everything in detail. I didn't want to make the episode too long, so I just wanted to get into it. So as I mentioned before, it fits in your pocket. And so I have mine right here. And I just really want to show you. You're like, all right, Robert, it sits in the pocket, but it's really small. You can look at the back. It has a pop-up if you want to, look through it. If you don't want to look through it, but you just pushes and goes away. But anyway, I just want to show you. But look, it's going to fit in my front pocket. I'm going to show you. Let me move over to the side of the desk. Nate, put on that close-up camera. And look, here's my pocket. Let me get adjusted so you guys can see it. Right in the front jeans pocket. Now I have the strap hanging out. You can have it or not have it. I have a little Peak Design strap. Peak Design straps are great because they have the little eye hooks and you can hook any strap to it. So I keep this one on. But yeah, right in my front pocket. Boom, and then you take it out. So this camera is really great for maybe if you want to sneak a camera into someplace. And let's talk about that. So I'm going to show you the picture of the game, and pictures that I shot at the Sharks game. So here's the scenario. I was in California working. I love hockey. I'm like, I want to go to a Sharks game. So I went on StubHub. I bought myself a ticket right on the glass behind the goal. And I was like, oh, I want to take pictures because I shoot all my kids' sports. My kids play hockey. And then I thought to myself, I was going to take the train because I was in town and you can take the train right to the stadium. And then I thought to myself, I'm like, if I take the train and they tell me I can't take a camera in, like I didn't want to take one of my bigger Sonys in where they said you can't have that in the arena because I look like a professional photographer. So I was like, you know what? I've been hearing all this stuff. I had the point and shoot with me, shoots 20 frames a second. I'm like, I'm going to take this into the Sharks game. No one's going to say anything. I'm going to sit on the glass and I'm going to take pictures and let's just see how it performs. So let me show you. This first image is an image that I took when I was down there. I drove down to Big Sur Carmel. It's pretty close. But I was using this image to illustrate, a point and shoot is something that we think that we take these type of images when we travel, maybe images of our kids. But like I mentioned, taking it to the Sharks game. So here we are. I'm right on the glass, just to the right of the goal. And this is Brent Burns, during warm-ups. And I was, just shooting. And obviously when I was taking the pictures right away, I could look at the back of the camera, but I really wasn't seeing the detail and the quality that I was getting until I put these on the computer. I was shooting raw. Here I zoomed in again during warm-ups. He was just squatted down on the ice, so this is zoomed in at 250. I mean, look at the background. You can even see a photographer behind him with a professional camera shooting, but nice depth of field. So now the game starts, and I'm sitting there, and I'm just putting up the camera. Now remember, I'm shooting through glass in an arena. So this is through glass, not just straight. But these images are so beautiful and clear that it looks like have the hole that the professional photographers get to shoot out of. So right away, a little action started, and I'm just shooting. I've got it on RAW, 20 frames a second, and I'm firing off bursts, as they come in. So here's the first burst. So now I'm going to click through these slides. This is, I believe, Zibanejad. I don't know all my hockey players that well, especially when they don't play in the state that I live in. But here he comes in, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, shoots, 7, hits the goalie's pad, bounces off, 8. But look at that. I mean, in a burst, I captured all of that action, and then the play moves on and they skate away. So here's a face-off. I really liked this image. So Zibanejad and the other Sharks player, because I like that you see his name and the other Sharks player face, the puck's dropping, the nice shallow depth of field in the background. But most impressive, if you look at these images, is how amazingly clear they are. This is probably one of my favorite action of the day with Brent Burns. And again, I forget the other guy's 39's name. But his stick's broken. Look, the stick just breaks on the ice. They're playing defense in their own zone. And ice is flying and sticks are breaking. And I just love the action in this. And plus, it's Burns. He's kind of an iconic hockey player. So in my opinion, my favorite image from this. So now here's a Sharks goal. So same player, number 39, coming in. Couture, I believe is his name. Coming in, around the goal, lifts the puck. It's right on his stick. Boom, you don't see it. Don't see it. And then there it is, bouncing off the back of the goal. He scores, comes in, gets tripped, slides into the wall, and then they celebrate. So really, I wanted to show you this just to show you shooting sports and how amazing this can be, especially in an arena or an area where you're not really supposed to have a camera. Now, in my experience, I've taken cameras into different stadiums, whether it's baseball, football, and generally the rule that I've heard around is you can't have a lens longer than 5 inches. Now, I really love the RX10 4, which is the one, and that also shoots really fast, 20 frames a second. And it has a Zeiss lens on it that is 24 to 600 millimeter, which is great for walking around nature, and especially if you go to a baseball game and you really want to shoot. But again, I mentioned before I was taking the train, and I didn't want to risk them telling me you can't bring this camera in here, so which is what prompted me to bring the Point and Shoot. And I'm very impressed. I cannot tell you how beautifully clear these images are. I mean, I would even shoot this as like an engagement shoot or some sort of portrait. Like, let's say you're going into like a museum where you're not allowed to shoot professionally. But who's gonna say anything to you if you're shooting with a little Point and Shoot and make yourself look like a tourist? It's a 24 megapixel file. You can shoot RAW. It's amazing, the autofocus. So you can get away with it. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you, do a quick little episode and show you how amazing the Sony RX100 VII is. And now we're gonna run the video and just watch all the details if you wanna see that. But I'm Robert Evans, this is The Pixel Show, and I really hope you enjoyed getting to know more about the RX100 VII.